All right, welcome everyone to our virtual lunch and learn. Today we're going to be discussing all things digital marketing. We're also going to be sharing a number of tips, tactics, tools, and best practices that you can implement into your strategy to help impact your business right away. So first, we're going to start by introducing who Code Authority is. We are an improving company. We were founded in 2001 by Jason W. Taylor, located here in Frisco, Texas. Some of our core competencies here at Code Authority are custom software development, mobile application development, cloud solutions, digital marketing, and more. So just want to introduce the presenters. My name is Corey Haskell. I'm the digital marketing manager here at Code Authority.
I'm John Smith, also known as JP Smith, and I'm approximately 50% of this presentation. I am the SEO as well as the PPC analyst here at Code Authority.
All right, so just to give everyone a general outline of what we're going to be discussing today, we're going to be going over how digital marketing benefits your business, a handful of digital marketing channels that we utilize here at Code Authority that we feel are very effective, very prominent, very popular. Then we're going to dive into each one of those channels, provide some information about what they are, how they work, different tools, tactics, and tips that we utilize ourselves in each of those channels that we can pass along to you. We'll also be discussing how to track and analyze your marketing efforts, and finally, how you can build a digital marketing MVP, very lean process that you can implement very easily, very cost effectively, but sure to provide results for your organization.
This is going to be the most efficient use of your lunchtime without you having to do a single thing.
Right on. So as we proceed through this presentation, a lot of the benefits of digital marketing are going to become readily apparent, but we just want to start off by sharing a number of benefits that you can experience with an effective strategy. So first and foremost is digital marketing is going to be extremely effective at increasing your brand awareness and visibility. Do you want to describe a little bit more about how that works?
Sure. So a lot of things are digital nowadays, especially in this era where you can't just go out easily anymore. Digital marketing really helps increase your visibility as well as your presence just by pulling you into a lot of channels that people already regularly visit and interact with on a day-to-day basis. That can be anything from just search engine visibility to just how you show up on Facebook to reviews on Yelp and many more channels that can really help you reach your clients in a very efficient way. And the best part about a lot of these channels is that a lot of them you just build them up at the start, and then after building them up, they pretty much work on their own. You just have to monitor them and take care of them every now and then.
Yeah, and with the increased number of eyeballs on your site, your brand, your products or offerings, that's going to lead to an increased number of leads and sales, which is the ultimate goal for any business, is to generate more revenue. Additionally, a very great aspect of digital marketing is the fact that you can market to your target audience instead of this holistic shotgun approach where like a commercial or a newspaper ad and you're just hoping it sticks to anything. With digital marketing, you can actually market to your audience.
Yeah, there's always room for traditional marketing. Some business benefits more from it than others. But the good thing about digital marketing is that the bar of accessibility is very, very low for what you can get out of it in terms of just reaching your audience. There's a lot of ways to actually manage who you're in contact with. If you're a specific business that targets a specific group of people, like if you're B2B, if you want to reach out to other businesses, or if you're more of a brick and mortar place and you want to reach out to a certain type of demographic, digital marketing gives you all the tools that you need to actually reach these people and make sure that you're not actually wasting anyone's time and your product gets to the right person as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and ultimately all of these things come together to be a catalyst for growth, really just helping your business grow in terms of sales, revenue, and then really just scaling up from where you were whenever you first started. So now we're going to dive into just some of the channels that we'll be describing in today's session. So we'll briefly run through these really quick. Oops, a little too far. Website is going to be the first one we're going to be discussing. Then we're going to move into SEO, then pay-per-click advertising, then content marketing, social media, email, and then video. So we'll go ahead and get started with all of that. So the first is website. So a website, for all intents and purposes, is going to be the first impression of your brand or your organization for users online. With that being said, your first impression needs to be a good one. It needs to be lasting, and you don't want to make a poor first impression, or else your potential clients, customers, etc., are going to go to your competition. So we also want to outline, most organizations do have a website, but we want to outline what makes a website successful. So the first thing that we want to look at is that your website needs to be fast. So most users have an attention span, or make that first judgment call on your brand within the first 3 seconds. So if your website is extremely slow loading, and it doesn't even load by the time that they've made that first judgment, that's going to be a huge deterrent for users. One tool that you can utilize to check your page speed is Google PageSpeed Insights. What this does, it's a platform for free provided by Google that will provide essentially a score from a scale of 0 to 100, with 100 being the high and 0 being the low. What this does is this collects numerous metrics and components on your site and compiles how long it takes to load your web page and navigate throughout your site. So if you want to add on a little bit to that.
Yeah, so page speed is very important, just because like from a user standpoint, no one wants to go to a website and wait 3 seconds just to see the first header, the first headline. So the user experience there is really the key aspect of it. The other aspect of it is, of course, the grading of it, where we can see here this terrible, what is this? Facebook? No one's going to go there. That's too slow. But the aspect of this is that if you're a new site and you're just trying to rank, you really need every single benefit, every single advantage that you can grab. And one of the easiest advantages is making something that's lean at the start, making sure that things load fast, your images don't take 5,000 years to pop up on mobile, and you don't suck up a lot of people's mobile bandwidth, because most people do their searches on mobile. So when you have a website, make sure it's fast, make sure that it loads easy on mobile, and make sure that you're not wasting anyone's time, because they have millions of searches that they actually have to go through. And if yours takes 3 seconds, they could just hit back and find another search result that would easily accommodate them and won't raise the bill for Verizon at the end of the month.
Exactly. So next one is your website needs to be secure. So if you've ever come across a website and you come up with this beautiful warning sign that says your connection is now private, that's a huge deterrent for users, especially a website that collects pertinent information like credit cards, like on an e-commerce site, or if it's simply just collecting contact information like first name, last name, and email address. You want to make sure that your site is secure, so that information is encrypted and cannot be stolen. A way that you can secure your website is through the HTTPS protocol, which you can do by installing an SSL certificate. Most web hosting providers will offer that either free or paid. Typically, they run between $70 and $150 for an annual license for that. But there are other alternatives you can use, like Let's Encrypt, where you can install one for free, although a developer may be required for that.
Yeah, we can't stress the importance of SSL enough. In this day and age, everyone is concerned about the privacy, about the security of the information. And an SSL is just an easy way to communicate to people, hey, whatever you send to our website, no one else can take. It's encrypted, it's safe, you can trust us. Also, in general, it's just not a nice look to see that hideous red line just going over your URL.
Yeah, no one wants to see that before entering a website. That's a scary message. So next is your website needs to be mobile friendly. So JP alluded to the importance of mobile friendliness earlier. As you can see on this screen, the version on the left, you're having to do a lot of scrolling to the left, scrolling to the right, scrolling up and down, zooming in and out, just to read the content on the page. Whereas a mobile optimized version, like the version on the right that you're seeing, all of that content fits well within the parameters of the device. So just for usability and user experience, it's extremely important to have your website be mobile friendly. And a good way to check for that is through Google Search Console. We have a nice note on here if you want to check and see if your website is mobile friendly. You can just go to Google, type in mobile friendly test, and click on the first result. You'll be able to enter your domain name, and it'll run a test and determine if in fact your website is mobile friendly or not.
Yeah, keep this in mind, because this is going to come up again at the end of the presentation for something that you can do if you currently have a website. And if you don't have a website in the current year of our Lord 2020, well, at least you're here, right? But the other important part about mobile friendly is it's not just from a user experience. Google has released an algorithm update to how they categorize searches to put priority to websites that are actually friendly to mobile. So being friendly to mobile actually helps you rank, because most searches are done on mobile devices nowadays. And if you don't have a property that is optimized for that, then the competition is just going to beat you out when they inevitably do, if they don't already.
Exactly. So next, your website needs to have an easy-to-use professional design. Now, easy to use and professional design are both subjective terms, but I think that there's a pretty clear line on what is easy to use and what's not, and what's professional design and what's not. So on this slide right here, I apologize for whoever's website this is, but this is not a great design. It's not easy to use.
Wait, how'd you get my mods? Who gave you this?
I stole them from your computer. Should do better next time. But as you can see, you know, this website makes it very unclear what the purpose of this website is. You know, something about X-ray machines, but what exactly are they doing? Are they selling products? Are they providing information about products?
It's themed after the 90s. Clearly.
Yeah, and you know, as you can see, this red text here is extremely hard to read. It's red on blue, so very difficult to navigate, to understand even what's going on. So a few tips that we want to make sure that each website has in terms of their design is that it is easy to navigate, that the pages are structured so you have one subject per page, so that page is very clear and concise on what you're trying to convey there. It also needs to easily identify the purpose of the website. That should be front and center. It needs to be well structured, and it needs to be visually appealing. So again, a lot of these are subjective, but I think again there's just a very clear line on you know, what's professional, what looks good, what works, and what obviously does not.
Generally what works and what doesn't is the less is more principle. Just keep it simple.
Yes.
You can keep it simple, make it legible. The 90s came and went, so don't follow that. As nostalgic as I am for it. But always keep a certain level of readability for your users that displays the most important information as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And often the key to that is just being lean and being simple. You honestly don't need to complicate it with a lot of flash or a lot of elements bouncing around. The benefit also of being lean is that it also keeps your website fast.
That's a good point. And next, your website needs to include clear call to actions. So if you're unfamiliar with what a call to action, it's basically helping your user perform an action on your site that you deem valuable. So here's a few examples of call to actions and how they can be set up. Simple buttons that contrast with the background that are easy to see, attract your eye, and are ultimately what you want your users to get out of the website, whether that's downloading a PDF, whether that's contacting you via email or phone call, whether that's subscribing to a newsletter or a blog, whether that's shop now. You know, there's any number of varieties depending on your site, but the fact of the matter is it's extremely important to have call to actions on your site. That ultimately helps improve your conversion rate.
Yeah, especially if you design a page around a call to action. The best way to use call to actions is just to have one at a time. You don't want to overload people with information. You don't want to give them too many options at the start. People value their time a whole lot, and frankly, there's too much competition and too many people vying for others' attention out there on the internet already. So having one call to action, maybe two, having it very clear what the message and the value of that call to action is, goes a long way for users interacting with your website.
Right, and then the last one for websites, and just note that this isn't all inclusive, but due to time constraints within the presentation, we feel that these are very easy to implement and going to be very effective for your website. So finally, your website should be optimized for search engines.
Promise me you changed that.
I did, I forgot. But anyway, JP, if you want to kind of describe in simple terms how search engines work.
Okay, the simple answer is no one really understands how they work. That's the end of the presentation. Good day, everybody. But the key to search engine optimization is search engines really just want to put the most valuable information to people's problems up front so they can find their solution as quickly as possible. To that end, Google employs various tactics that aren't always that transparent, but we can kind of gauge out with a lot of testing as well with a lot of community input. The key to search engine optimization is that there isn't really one solution that will get you results fast. There isn't a magic trick, there isn't a button that we can press that makes your website optimized for search engines. But there are a lot of things that we can pay attention to that we know search engines are looking for. What are the kind of stuff that they're looking for? Well, first of all, they're looking at your content. When they look at your content, they're looking at the kind of words that you use on your web page. What are the words on your headers? What's the most prominent feature of that web page? What are you saying in your first 100 characters of that web page? That kind of stuff provides a lot of value for Google and presents it as information on search engine results, which if you don't know the term for that, whenever you type anything in Google and you see like the big blue word and then a little description at the bottom, that's called the meta title and the metadata. And what that is a little piece of HTML that you put on your web page that gives a little bit of description so Google can take that and put that into the search engines. And that is valuable for users because you can curate the summary of that web page so that they understand what the heck they're going to click into. Now, the problem is, specifically with Google, is that they take metadata as suggestions as opposed to rules. So even if you write a good summary and a good headline and you think this is fancy and it's going to work just fine for your users, don't expect Google to always use it because they can sometimes pull any random bit of information from your page that Google thinks might be more valuable. But other than content quality, other important SEO ranking factors are stuff like, for example, we already went to that. Stuff like, for example, securing your website, which we talked about earlier. Having a secure website is going to generally increase interactivity. Now, there is no conclusive proof that tells Google, hey, this website's secure, so let's move it up. But what we believe, and what the general speculation is that generally more people are going to click on a secure website because they don't get a big fat red warning that tells them to click away from the website. So when more people are clicking on it, obviously that's going to tell Google, hey, people treat this content with more respect, or they linger on it longer, so they start moving it up in search results. So that's why securing your website is very important, not because it might tell Google that it's better, but because more people will stay on it, and that's the part that search engines will often pay attention to. And then the next part that we're going to talk about is quality backlinks. So that's kind of like a big word. I'll kind of break this down on this. There's a lot of stuff that goes into the overall profile of your website. Basically, getting backlinks is hard. And the problem with it is backlinks are links from other websites that go back to your site that pretty much say these websites trust you. An example of this would be if you have a website that talks about car maintenance or car mechanics, you want other websites that talk about car pieces or hobbyists to link back to your site as a trusted source of information for that particular topic. You don't want to talk about car mechanics and then have stuff for like Viagra oral jelly. That's gonna be awful, and you do not want to show up for search results for that, especially if you don't want to talk about it. So an important part of having those backlinks is to make sure your website doesn't get these spammy links. And you might be thinking, my website has been around for a long time. I don't see those issues. I don't get links from anybody. Well, that's not entirely up to you either. Some people might grab your website and might build very bad links to your domain as either a malignant tactic by your competitors, or more often than not, bots using it to bring up other low-quality domains to your level by dragging you down a little bit with them. There are a lot of ways to go around this, but a tool we mentioned earlier is Google Search Console. You can disavow links through that pretty easily. We will show you how at the end of this presentation. But it's very good to keep in mind what your backlink profile for your website looks like. And if you don't know what any of that means, then it's good that you're here, because that is an aspect that not a lot of people pay attention to that ends up having a huge impact on their search results.
Right. And then can we also maybe elaborate a little bit on quality versus quantity in terms of backlinks?
Sure. So a very old school method of SEO, and if you ever hear a marketing firm tell you this, then you know they were probably founded in 2003 and then they probably stayed there, is there used to be a method where the more links you got from the more places, from the more variety of places, the better the overall quality of your website, because it was telling a lot of people, hey, this is good content. So Google was going to grab you, see all those things, and start moving you up. Nowadays, the search algorithm for many search engines, not just Google, are way smarter than that. And they look at how they're linking to you. And what that means is what words have the hyperlink to your page or your domain. So you always want to make sure that the people linking back to you are talking about the same topics that you want to talk about, or the products that you want to talk about, or are authorities in the services that you care about. We are a digital marketing as well as custom software development and app development firm, so we care about the technological space. We want to work with and exchange links between other companies and other websites that are also authorities and are on the cutting edge of all of this field. So we don't want to have links from just anybody that just claims they're an SEO specialist, or just from anybody that wants to talk about like movies or food or stuff like that. That doesn't benefit us, and the people on their field, when they click on that link, are not going to find anything valuable in our content, and vice versa. So always curate quality over quantity. Don't just grab as many links as possible. When you start building your backlink profile, think about your field logically. Think about it as from a user perspective and go from the ground up. So that way, the links that are coming back to your website always provide some value to what you're talking about. And hopefully the people that link from other domains to yours actually find some value in your content, and they find your brand something that they can engage with.
Right, and a good way to, for everyone listening, a good way to perform a link audit and see who is linking to your website. There are a number of tools available. One that we like to use in particular is called Ahrefs. That is a paid subscription, however, but there are also free tools available online where you can actually type in your domain and it will return a list of results for linking domains. A good free one would be Ubersuggest. You can type that into Google, and they do have a backlink tool for free that you can utilize if you're not interested in paying for a subscription model like Ahrefs. But obviously the quality is going to vary a little bit there, but ultimately you'll be able to have a general idea if you need to disavow any links or overall just what your link profile looks like. So with that being said, we're going to move on to the next SEO ranking signal that we will discuss, which is schema markup.
Yeah, so this one is one of my favorites in terms of importance as well as how many people are using it. Schema markup is a relatively new search engine feature that displays more structured information front and center on search results. A very popular example of this, you might have seen it in a lot of places if you ever search for a product, are actually the golden star reviews that you can see on your search engine results. That is the use of schema markup. What schema markup is, it's just a piece of HTML that's put on your page that structures information in a certain way so that search engines can grab it and display it as a graphic or like a little snippet or in a box. You name it, Google probably has a method of showing it. Some of the most popular ones include not just the reviews, but also lists. If you ever look for a recipe for cooking something and you see the first result is often a box with a pretty graphic and some bullet points that list the ingredients and the amounts that you need. That's called a list schema markup. Stuff like that really helps your visibility, and it also provides immediate value for your user. And if you're looking at it and thinking, well, people are just looking at the search result, not going to that page, how does that help me? People pay attention to that, and the scrolling also helps with it. And if they see your brand on one of those search results and then finds it somewhere else, they remember that. That's the main benefit of it, is that the visibility is unparalleled, and you actually go above the first page result on that.
It's very true. And another thing is that it does help increase your click-through rate because you are providing more information front and center as opposed to what you would see from just a generalized listing on a search engine. So something that you definitely want to implement into your SEO strategy. It's very simple to add schema markup. There are plenty of templates available online that you can look up to add, for example, review schema or list schema. So there's a number of varieties of options available for schema markup. It is something that we would recommend just to help improve the click-through rate and the visibility for your web page.
And again, not a lot of people are doing this. It is best practices. So if you've never heard of this, if you have a website and you don't know what the schema markup is, check your website for us, ask your web developer, ask your web team, do we have this, are we using it, where are we using it, what type are we using? Because it's not a one-size-fits-all situation. You want to use the right one for the right page. And it helps out tremendously.
Yes, exactly. All right, so we're going to move on to pay-per-click advertising. So this might be an unfamiliar topic for a lot of listeners, but with that being said, it's an extremely effective marketing channel. So JP, why don't you briefly describe how PPC works for anyone that's not already familiar with it?
Briefly.
very
briefly.
Yeah.
Well, the basics of pay-per-click advertising is right there in the name. It's just pay-per-click advertising. You pay for clicks to a web page. That's pretty much the long and short of it. The actual value of it is that pay-per-click channels are often very popular sources of information. It's not just Google, it's also Bing, it's also Facebook, it's also LinkedIn. And they all handle PPC differently, but the value is pretty much the same. You create an ad and you only pay for people that are interested in it, that end up clicking on it. And that's the real key to PPC. That's why it's one of the more popular bidding types of search engine marketing, or really overall digital marketing.
Yeah, and traditionally the ROI on PPC is extremely high. You pay, there's
if done well.
Yeah, if done well. There are definitely ways where if it's not managed properly, if the account's not set up properly, if you're not continuing to add negative keywords, which we'll describe in a minute, how that can essentially just waste your money. So if it's well optimized and performing like a well-oiled machine, you can actually see very good results. And this is primarily used for lead generation. So as you can see, we've taken a snapshot from one of our advertising campaigns. I believe this is over a 4-month period, but we were able to generate almost 8,000 clicks on those ads to our website. The average cost per click for each of those clicks was only 14 cents. So we're basically paying 14 cents for someone to come to our website. But the best part of this is we received out of that 95 conversions, which is someone filling out a contact form on our website. And we got that for $11.48 a lead, which is pretty good to be, especially considering our, our average sale or average unit price, if you will, is significantly higher than that. So our ROI is through the roof on our pay-per-click ad campaigns. So
casual brag, no big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
It does take a lot of work to get here, and you don't see these types of results immediately. Hell, you might not even see it for a while. But it is very possible to get here with a lot of diligence and with a lot of discipline. That's the big barrier of entry for pay-per-click advertising and pay-per-click management is, how do I get these numbers? This looks great to me. How do I get here? Well, it takes a while. It takes a lot of practice, but we're about to go over those practices now, so that maybe you can get off into the right foot for this type of advertising. So pay-per-click is a specific bidding strategy where you're just paying for the click. And in order to maximize these types of biddings, you want to do a couple of things. The first one is refining your audience list. Now, this involves a lot of research, but a philosophy that I like to prescribe to, and one that I feel helps a lot of marketing, not just digital, is always join the conversation in your customer's head. Never try to repeat what they're already asking. So if they're asking like, I want the best vacuum cleaner for my home, you don't want to open up your ad with looking for the best vacuum cleaner. You want to start listing out brands, and you want to start listing out that product that they might find valuable. So that's what you start refining. That's called a keyword. And the keywords are kind of like the linchpin of your content strategy, not just for your search engine optimization on your actual web page in terms of content, but also how you're going to bid and how your ads are going to show up. So you start bidding on keywords that you deem valuable for your customer, and that would be whatever product you're searching for. If you can provide value to that customer, if you have a solution to their problem, or if you have a product for their need, you think about how would they look for it, and you start searching for that keyword, and that's when you bid for it. And when you bid for it, that's when the fun starts, because that's when you start seeing what people are searching for and how they're clicking for you. Now, people often don't search in a vacuum, and they'll often have a lot of variety for it. So let's go back to the vacuum cleaner example. Let's say you sell those products, but someone is looking to repair or replace a certain filter on their vacuum that you don't deal with. And you notice that you're showing up for those search results. Not only that, but you're paying for clicks for these people that aren't converting because you don't sell the stuff that they want, or they're not looking for your product in that way. Like if they're just researching the best vacuum cleaner products, you don't want your ads to show up for that. So you add negative keywords to that campaign so that you sculpt your traffic a little better, and you know you're not showing up for relevant search results. One that happened to us is we help a copier and printer leasing company, and sometimes people search for printers on Amazon. They'll type in Amazon printer or Amazon copier, and that doesn't help us because we're leasing and renting printers and copiers from a brick and mortar business. So we have to add Amazon as a negative keyword. It's stuff like that at the start you probably don't have a good grasp on, and if it's going like, oh God, this is too much. It's too much for everybody at the start, but you get the hang of it the more you see it. All this requires is, it really just requires some diligence and a little bit of discipline. You just check it every day. You look at the search results that your ad shows up for, which depending on your platform is shown in different ways. Google is the friendliest one of this. They have an entire section when you go to your ad campaign where you can see what you rank for. Facebook as well shows you the type of people that are clicking on your ad and where those ads are appearing. And you get a lot of control over those demographics. And as you see who interacts more with your ad, you get to decide, I want to show up more for these kind of people because I get a much better reception with them than these kinds of people. And you can tweak it so that you only show up for the demographic that's valuable to you. A lot of it also comes down to managing your bidding strategy. So a lot of different platforms have very different bidding strategies. For the sake of simplicity, as well as for this presentation, we'll cover Google because Google's pretty much the biggest one out there. And Google offers a lot of automated bidding strategies that sound very attractive because they pretty much say, hey, you can just hit maximize conversions and we'll automatically bid for the best conversions for your buck, which sounds really appealing until you start it out and suddenly you find that Google has thrown $900 of your hard-earned cash down the toilet. You don't know why. The reason why is because Google doesn't know what counts as a conversion for you yet. You just started. So managing your bidding strategy is very important so that you're not just throwing money out into the wind. You have to pay attention to what you're bidding to. And the best place to start, especially early on, is just to go manual and testing what keywords work best and what type of ads work best. And you adjust the money a little bit at a time every couple of days when you have enough clicks and enough data to make good judgment calls on what's working for you. The last one is what decides bidding for these types of keywords. It's not just competition, it's also your landing page. And your landing page is what really does a lot of heavy lifting for your ads. You can write a very attractive ad, make it sexy, put it on top of search results. People are going to look at it, they're clicking on it like mad. 3 seconds later, they bail because your website loads too slow, or it's too confusing, or you designed it in Yahoo GeoCities and you left it there because you think you're cool. Don't do that. An important part is landing pages need to communicate value quickly and efficiently, and also they need to be simple. An important part of this is having a nice looking headline, clear, concise information that the reader can read, usually above the fold, and no call to action except what you want them to do out of the ad. If the ad is to get them to buy a product, do not have a bunch of links that go to your social media, to your blog, what have you. They do nothing for the user except distract them. If they go on this page and they decide to go look at your blog instead, they might entirely forget about your landing page in the first place.
JP, why don't you describe for us the difference between a landing page and a page on your website? Because I think that there's potentially a little misinformation or misunderstanding is the difference between just a web page or your home page and what a landing page is supposed to do.
Yeah, you don't generally design landing pages the way you would design a typical web page on your browser, on your website rather. When you design a web page on your property, you generally design it with links in mind. So you design it to, oh, this is my about page, and then from my about page, I want people to look at my portfolio, or this is my home page, and then I want them to look at my services or my products. A landing page is there to do one thing and one thing only, to get a valuable action, to get that conversion, whether it's to download a PDF that you made, whether it's to get some contact information so you can reach out to a potential lead, or it's to sell some shoes. They just have this one specific goal in mind, so they are designed to for the purpose of reinforcing that goal. So they only have one call to action. They only have one product in them. They only talk about one thing. And the other reason why we do this is because continuity between what your landing page has on it and what your ad has on Google Ads actually helps you pay less for your keywords because it counts as valuable information or valuable content for that keyword. If you have a certain keyword and your landing page doesn't line up with what you're writing on your ad, Google actually charges you more and it makes your ad harder to find on search results as a consequence. So always design a landing page to have a clear direct message with a very clear, nice looking headline, some clear visual information and people can recognize at a glance what they're supposed to find on this page, and then a little bit of text and a little bit of description information along with one clear call to action on what they can do in this landing page.
Exactly. All right, so the next channel we want to dive into is actually content marketing. So when we say content marketing, that can mean a variety of things, but in this scenario, we just want to discuss blogging. So most people are probably very familiar with what a blog is, but may not understand the impact that a blog can have for your business. So one thing that we want to illustrate here is the impact that a blog can have for you, the benefits that you can receive from having a blog. And we'll also describe ways where you can structure your content, not only for search engines, but for user experience and how to make sure that they're staying on the blog, reading the entirety of the thing. And if you do have a call to action at the end, they might follow through with that. So let me go back actually really quick. So a few ways that you can structure your content for SEO. You want to make sure that you're including the relevant keyword surrounding that article or that topic in the page title. You also want to make sure that that keyword is in the headers. You want to make sure that that keyword is also in the first 100 characters and that you're also optimizing your images. That means compressing them, making sure that they're small, they load fast, they're not, like 4 megabytes and take 3 seconds to load. You also want to make sure that you have alt text attached to them.
Yeah.
which is great for image search, which will help your blog appear even more. So
a lot of these are like little mistakes that everyone does every now and then. So just paying attention to these little like TLC can really help your website rank a lot higher.
Yeah.
So when you structure your content, as Corey said, always make sure to optimize everything for it. This includes images and alt text, which we'll cover in a little bit for like technical details and the like.
Yeah, so we want to show you an example of a blog that we created that follows this similar structure. So we created a blog on the best CSS frameworks. This is obviously from 2019, but still very relevant to its performance. So as you can see, the first arrow on there is showing that we have that keyword in the page title. The second one is showing that we have it in the page header. The third one is showing that we have it in the first 100 characters. So that keyword is included multiple times, front and center at the very top. That helps Google and other search engines know that's exactly what this blog is about. And this is kind of the benefit here that we're talking about when you properly structure your blogs for search engines. So if someone were to type in the best CSS frameworks in 2019, and this would have obviously been more relevant 6 months ago than it is today.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is we ranked #1 on Google for that with our article. And to this day, we're still receiving several hundred views on that blog to our website. So just this one piece of content alone is bringing in, hundreds and hundreds of users per month to our website. And those users, if they read this, they find out that we know what we're talking about. They're also interested in other services that could ultimately, lead to a sale down the road. Maybe not initially, but at some point, we could, potentially sell the product if we want to, develop a website or a mobile application for them. This is a great starting point for that. It's just another barrier to entry that you can overcome to get people to your website, viewing your brand, your services and products.
And this costs nothing. That's like the best part about this. This costs nothing, and it's bringing in all these visitors to our website every single month just for us talking about the stuff that we like to talk about.
Yeah.
So that's just the main benefit of it. And another thing I want to bring attention to is, see that nice little square with the bullet point list? Structured data, schema markup. Really helpful.
Absolutely. So another way that you can also, and something that's also important, is not only structuring your content for SEO, but for users as well.
Yeah.
One thing that you want to make sure of is that you don't have, this massive word clump that has 13 sentences in one paragraph. You want to break it apart for readability, so it's very easy to digest that information. You want to make sure that thoughts are put into their own section with their own headers, which is another way that you can rank for more keywords. So you want to make sure that those are very well structured and spread out, so that information is, again, just easy to digest, easy for someone to easily, scroll through and find the section that they need if they're only looking for one thing in particular. That helps tremendously with user experience, and it's going to reduce your bounce rate for that page and increase your on-page time as well, which is also ranking factors for SEO.
Yeah, which quick glossary term for bounce rate. Bounce rate is the rate by which people land on your page and then immediately leave without interacting with anything. So generally, a page with low bounce rate is a page with good quality, is a page that ranks on search engines. And something that I want to reiterate that Corey explained, I can't stress this enough. Write content that you would like to read. Think of it from that perspective. Write content that you would be happy to read. Don't waste people's time. I see a lot of content online that I absolutely dislike, where I type in a question and the blog's first paragraph or two are just repeating that question back at me. No one wants that. You just want to clearly and efficiently give the value for it. That's why the schema markup works so well. This is just a list. Like, you want to look at what are the best CSS frameworks. Here they are, bullet points. There's 5 or 6 of them immediately. There's more of them in the article, but here you have it from our article, what we think are some of the best CSS frameworks of that year. Always structure with that in mind.
So the next one that we want to discuss is social media. This is obviously a huge channel in digital marketing, something that every organization should be utilizing, because
At least to some degree.
yeah, A, it's free. You don't have to pay any money to have a social media account. And B, it's just more eyeballs, more visibility, more opportunity to have people understand and recognize and see your brand out there. But the main points that we want to discuss instead of the importance of social media is describing how social media algorithms work. So not every post that you share or publish is going to be seen by all of your followers or visitors. So one thing that you want to make sure of to satisfy social media algorithms is that you're posting frequently, you're posting consistently, and the content that you're posting is engaging. And
We wish there was a science for that.
Yeah, it's very difficult to create engaging content, but we do have a slide with a few examples of content ideas that you could use to help boost your engagement. And the more people that are engaging with your posts, the more people are going to see it. So that's the nitty-gritty of it right there. It's just making sure that people are engaging with your post, posting consistently and posting frequently.
Yeah, it's just all it takes is a little bit of time. And the benefit of this posting frequently and posting often is volume, because volume lets you get data. And from that data, you can start curating what type of content people find most engaging, and then you'll find your social media account really starts succeeding. It's just a matter of keeping at it, not being afraid to experiment a little bit, thinking about your brand and how you want to communicate it, and then just start testing things out.
Yeah. So here on this post, or on this page, we've got a number of engaging post types. So you probably, if you're looking for, you Google best SEO practice, or best social media practices, I guarantee every single one of them is going to say create engaging content. How do you do that? Nobody, there's not a science to it that says you have to do this and you'll get a lot of engagement. It's a lot of trial and error to figure out what your audience engages with the most. Rather than just us sitting up here saying create engaging content, we're actually providing a few examples of things that you can try to help boost your engagement. So first is contest your sweepstakes. This is a great way to get additional users from Facebook that aren't in your network to sign up for. So for example, you can create a sweepstakes that says if you share our post to your network, you'll be entered in a drawing to win this $50 Visa gift card or whatever. Maybe offering one of your products at a discount, whatever you're comfortable with offering, or having some kind of initiative for users to do that. That's a great way for them to share with their networks, so other people can continue to share and follow your site. Your social media account. Others are polls and surveys. It's a great way to get people engaged.
Gives you a lot of information too.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically free consumer research right there. Others are infographics. Canva.com is an extremely simple site that you can use to build out infographics.
Huge lifesaver.
Yeah, it's literally drag and drop, type in content or type in any copy that you want.
It's Canva.com. They're not even sponsoring us. We just like them that much.
Right, and it's a free tool. I'm sure that they have a paid version, but for the most part, everything on there is free. Mm-hmm. And then lastly is video. Now this is going to require a little bit more finesse. Yeah, probably some cameras and audio equipment, but
even just with a webcam.
Yeah, webcam, or if you're on a budget, you can use your phone camera. Most of them nowadays have HD cameras, so the quality should be fine.
You'll see a lot of people, like a lot of companies, also just start putting advertising and video ads. If you've been on YouTube as of late, where they're just walking around with their phone outside, like, hey, what's up? I'm here to talk to you about this product and stuff like that. You can easily do that.
Yeah, live video on social media accounts. So these are a few examples of post types that you can try for your social media accounts just to help boost your engagement and ultimately get satisfied their algorithm.
Yeah, the barrier of entry for this type of marketing is actually really, really low. So you should never be afraid to experiment, because you don't know what little thing might give you a big boost in your business at the end.
So it looks like we're going to run over a little bit. Hope everyone has time to kind of stick around for the last few slides and then some Q&A at the end. But we'll power through these really quick. So
I know I'm starving, so I want.
Yeah. So another very popular, I guess you would consider it, social media platform is actually Google My Business, and this is a tool that I would recommend that every organization that has a physical location, and you don't even have to have a physical location. I believe you can have a service location and still have a Google My Business listing, but this is an extremely powerful tool on Google. All you have to have is a Gmail account, and it helps you rank for maps on your maps listing. So if someone, for example, is typing in, best burger place, if you have a Google My Business listing, it's well optimized. You can very well appear on the top of that search result. And the same way that search engines work, they want to put the most valuable and relevant content up top.
But what does well optimized mean, Corey? What does it mean? What if I don't know what that means? Yeah, so there's a number of ways that you can optimize your business listing. If you're not familiar with it, all you would need to do is create a Gmail account. Once you sign into Google, there's going to be that 9-block square. It's also free. There's that 9-block square. You click on that, and then there's going to be a My Business icon that you can click on. You'll be able to fill out your profile information. Highly important to have a description. Highly important to input your service area,
your services. You can add an FAQ, you can add a Q&A, and you can actually create and answer your own questions, which provides more information about your business before someone goes to your website.
And they rank.
And they rank,
So,
exactly.
so you can put in important keywords on those FAQs and they help you rank as well. Also, if you already have a Google business listing or you have a business that's already featured it and you haven't touched it in, you don't recall, stop what you're doing and go fix that right now. They have a neat little feature now that is related entirely to COVID-19 updates. So if your schedule has been impacted, if your delivery or services have been impacted for it and you update that, Google puts more priority on your business because it realizes that your business is still alive and relevant.
Right. Yeah, and there's nothing more frustrating than having someone's hours of operations on their Google business listing be entirely incorrect, and then you drive all the way up there and find out they're closed, and you're like, well, I looked.
Don't be that business.
Yeah, so make sure you're staying on top of this. It's very easy to update. Another thing that you can do on this is you can actually share content. So say you have a blog post or a promotion or an event that you want to help promote, you can post that on here and help share it on Google's network. So great place to share content and just keep your business information up to date and help you rank a little bit better for your website. Second to last is email marketing. So this is a channel that is extremely, extremely effective. As we mentioned with blogging, it takes almost no time to create an email blast. The most difficult part of email marketing is building up your initial contacts, which you can integrate different platforms like MailChimp or Constant Contact with your website, especially your website contact form. So anytime someone fills that out, that contact information is automatically being stored in that email marketing platform. They also have design tools to where you can create an email blast, create the template, and then just put content in there. Anything that's relevant. If you have a promotion or a sale going on next week, if you've got an event you're promoting, or if you just want to share
like
blogs.
A virtual lunch and learn.
Yeah, like a virtual lunch and learn, exactly. It's a great place to share that. Most people, especially most business leaders, the first thing they do when they walk into their office is check their email. I'm sure everyone listening is subscribed to some kind of email list, and they get specials and whether you like it or not. But offering specials, deals, promotions, etc., is a great way to get more people into your business and purchasing your services or products.
Yeah, and the barrier of entry for that is again low. I'm sure it doesn't take a lot of time to make one of these emails. It does take a while to perfect it, but I mean, every journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step, right? So you don't really have an excuse to not try it.
All right, and then the last channel that we're going to be discussing today is video. If you're unfamiliar with video, that's what we're doing right now. We're hosting a video.
I was going to say, if you're not familiar with video, what's going on? It's a good thing you're here.
Yeah, so video is, again, there is a higher barrier to entry there because you could potentially require more audio and video equipment, or you could just use your phone like we discussed earlier, or a webcam. It's not difficult to create video. It is, however, highly engaging. Also provides you more opportunity to convey your message instead of typing out a social media post that on Twitter that has 280 characters. In a video, you can explain so much more and get the point across a little bit better. It's also a little more personable. You're getting to see us, employees of Code Authority, discuss with you different opportunities and what we do here at Code Authority. So really, it's just a better channel to convey your message because you do get that more personable and kind of like more of a conversation as opposed to here's my offer, buy it now. So
yeah, which there will be a conversation, we swear, even though we've gone like a little bit overboard. Video is, there are different ways to produce videos, a lot of different methods. You don't need to go super high budget to make engaging content. As I mentioned as an example earlier, a lot of people make ads just recording themselves on their phone. It's just the personal part that sells, which is the important part. It's being personable. It's providing that value. It's being transparent. It's communicating who you are in an efficient and engaging way. And what makes that engaging is entirely up to what makes you unique as well. So you can't figure that out until you start making videos and seeing what works and what doesn't.
All right. So one of the last things that we want to discuss is how to track and analyze your marketing efforts. So it's one thing to just do, put a lot of these tactics and tips that we've shared into place. It's another to track and measure that progress and make sure that what you're doing is actually working. So there were a number of things that you can do. You can set up conversion tracking, goal tracking, making sure that people are actually performing those valuable actions on your website or social media accounts that you want them to. Make sure that any ad spend that you're putting in, you can track your ROI on that. Otherwise, you're spending money and you have no idea what your return is. So how do you gauge if you need to ramp up your budget, scale it down a little bit? Extremely, extremely important to track and measure that. So a few tools that we use for tracking, measuring our efforts are Google Analytics.
It's a big one.
Huge one. Google Analytics, actually, Google Analytics and Google Search Console are both free tools that will help you determine, how long, whether that's on-page performance, how long people are staying on your page, where those people are coming from to land on your page, what the sales funnel looks like, what pages they're going through to get to that ultimate action that you want them to take. There's a variety of different metrics and performance, analytics that you can track and measure on analytics. SEMrush is another one that we use for SEO. It's really an all-encompassing tool.
Yeah.
Provides technical site audits, keyword research, keyword performance ranking.
It refinances your house, it cleans your dishes. It's a very overwhelming tool at first. So SEMrush we recommend it more if you're into the advanced category,
right.
Or if you are like motivated or like want to dig deep more into any of these SEO topics that we brought in. SEMrush is probably one of the best industry tools out there for that. Just keep in mind, it covers a lot of these bases. It covers not just SEO, and it also covers content marketing, video marketing, and PPC. So go at it a little bit at a time.
Right, and then the last one we wanted to share is Crazy Egg. So Crazy Egg is a pretty fascinating tool. All you would need to do is install a tracking script on your website, and you will actually be able to see video recordings of users interacting with your site. It also has features like heat maps, so you can see how far the percentage of traffic is dropped, or how much the percentage of traffic is dropping off as you scroll down the page. You can see I can't remember the exact name of it, but where users are actually clicking.
So like the confetti?
Yeah, the confetti. Yeah. So it'll actually show you exactly where users are clicking on your site. If, for example, if you have an element that looks like a button and people keep trying to click on it, but it doesn't do anything.
It into a button.
Exactly. So it's a very, very cool and intuitive tool. It is a paid subscription, however, but that will provide you a ton of information, especially on user experience on your site. Last thing that we wanted to do before we wrap up is kind of just share a very lean MVP strategy that you can implement for your business to help you kind of start ranking if you don't want to take everything that we've discussed today.
Which was a lot.
Yeah, so this is just a very lean strategy that we can share with you to help you, get started on the path to digital marketing greatness. So JP, take it away.
Sure. So I know we share a lot of information, and some of it can be kind of overwhelming, but look at me. You're safe. Here's what you can do to upgrade your digital marketing today and see what areas you can improve for your website. First of all, Google what you want to rank for. So put into a Google search bar, put it on Bing as well. Don't neglect Bing, please. I promise you it's not that bad. Write in what you want to search for and see where you're at. If you're not on the first page, you're pretty much nowhere, which is kind of sad, but also pretty true. If you're not on the first page, then it's time to find out why. And the way you find out why is using a tool like Search Console or Analytics or any of the keyword research tools that we mentioned, like Google suggests. Go in there and put in your website domain and let it run a little technical audit, and it'll tell you what's missing. An even better way is just go to your own web pages and look at your headers. Right-click on that page and hit Inspect, and then look for a bit of HTML that says H1. Or just look at the actual page itself and see what sticks out and what's bold. If you don't see your keyword on there, it's problem number one. Problem number two, how do I do keyword research? Where do I go? Where do I start? Well, the best place to start is just a search engine itself. Always type in the keyword and then look at what information shows up. Look at the questions. There's a little section that Google likes to put in that has featured questions on it. Click on those. Are you answering any of them? No. Do they relate to you? Maybe they do. And if they relate to you, why are you not answering them? And then start structuring content based on that. Write blogs, write articles, write services pages that directly address those questions. You will start seeing results immediately, I promise you, if you pay attention to your headers and if you pay attention to your titles. That is the best place to start right there. And when you start seeing those results, think of a keyword strategy. Start thinking of more words that are related to your topic and see which ones you're not talking about and start tackling those. When you structure a page, think of the header, think of the title, and then think of the first 100 characters. When you start making those web pages and you start making content like that, you're also going to start ranking first place for stuff like top CSS frameworks of 2020. Not 2019 though, we own that. Now from that point on, it is a matter of looking on the technical side. Go to PageSpeed Insights, put in your domain, and see what suggestions Google gives you. The ones that you should be paying attention to are the mobile part. Am I taking up too much data? Is my page taking 5 seconds to load up the first time? If yes, that's when you might start needing a developer or might start needing some more technical consulting if you don't have that savvy enough already. And if you are a web developer, then hey, pay attention to those headers, please.
All right, so that pretty much wraps up our presentation. We would definitely like to open this up for some Q&A. So, John, do we have any questions available?
Question, how do you stay up with the latest algorithm changes that Google has?
So there's actually a lot of good sources out there. I personally like to use Search Engine Journal, but SEMrush also has a little a little feed that tells me as well when there's like a huge spike in activity or like a huge shift in search trends. But yeah, I highly recommend you look for Search Engine Land and Search Engine Journal are two pretty good blogs that often try to keep track and aggregate a lot of cumulative SEO research from like a lot of experts across many fields.
Yeah, I know Search Engine Journal has a blog that they continuously update every time there's even just a minor Google algorithm update. They will add that to the list. So they have an aggregate list of all of the, since probably the dawn of time, since Google was first founded.
Yeah.
All of the updates that they've made in the description on what they've done in that algorithm update.
Yeah.
So plenty of information online that you can just search. And again, Search Engine Journal is one that we would recommend, a source we definitely trust.
Another question, what was the infographics site that you mentioned?
Canva.com, Canva.com. And again, I believe they have a paid model, but for the most part,
we use the free one.
Yeah, we use the free one. Pretty much able to create anything that we want from there. You can use your own graphics. They also have a massive library of images and different shapes and different things you can implement in there. They also have plenty of templates that you can just utilize and then put your content on. So Canva.com.
How do you make live presentations where your background is transparent and you're at the bottom left of the slides?
Magic.
That's a good question for you, John.
So the presentation, we have it set up. This layout was done through a broadcasting software called Open Broadcast Software. Go figure. It's open source. It's free. It's used by a lot of Twitch streamers, for example. It's very handy if you want to do these types of presentation. After that, magicians never reveal their tricks. But it rhymes with green screen.
Green screen.
It's green screen.
Okay.
Let's see.
Guys went live. I said, is it good?
How quickly does a typical small business client start to see results from SEO on their Google rankings?
So if we optimize their content pretty well, they can start seeing it as soon as a couple of weeks. If they want to see like really drastic changes, like their overall domain starts ranking higher, they get good quality backlinks, that can take a couple of months. SEO is always an ongoing process. For us, we've done like little page tweaks that we've seen those pages start ranking much better in the span of like a couple of weeks. But for like an overall website, we've seen that process take anywhere from like a month to 3 to 4 months.
I'll add on to that. It also is completely dependent on your service location and the business that you're in. For example, if you're a lawyer in Los Angeles, getting you to rank on the first page of Google is going to take quite some time because that's probably one of the most competitive industries in the United States. Whereas if you're an animal vet in Prosper, Texas, or somewhere in Oklahoma, that's probably going to be a little bit quicker for you to rank. So rule of thumb, probably a few weeks to where you would start seeing noticeable results. But ultimately, that's going to depend on where you're at and what industry you're in.
And sometimes you'll see great results for a couple of weeks, and then a Google algorithm will drop a week later, and suddenly you're back at the bottom, and you have to reassess everything.
That's very true. Google algorithm updates can, have massive implications. So it's always good to stay on top of that.
Last question, what can someone expect as a pricing range for SEO services to start seeing results?
Ooh. So I will say, for example, here at Code Authority, and I'm sure every organization has their own pricing structure, but what we like to do is sit down with you, understand your goals, your needs, what you're really trying to accomplish with whether that's SEO, which factor of SEO is strictly just on page. Are you looking to build links? Whatever the fact that, whatever kind of campaign you want to set up, we pretty much build that custom to fit your business's needs. But in terms of just general pricing, I would say, you're depending on the scale and scope of the campaign, between $500 to $1,000 a month. Yeah,
it really depends. Like, are you going for an individual? Are you going for a team? Are you paying for just consulting? Are you paying for development? Because SEO can encompass both of those. Last question. All right, so everybody, thank you for sticking around with us. We know that we ran a little bit overboard, but we just had a lot of ground to cover. And again, don't let all that information overwhelm you. You have a lot of good places to start. Google your brand, search what you need, and if you need any, and if you find any holes on it, or if you need any consulting, hey, we're available.
Last thing, we will be putting this up on our YouTube channel and our website shortly. So stay tuned. If you had to step out early, or if you missed the presentation for some other reason, it will be up on our YouTube channel and our website within the next couple of days.
All right, love you all. Take care.
All right, thanks everyone.